Hello, and thank you for clicking the link, by the way. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jaku. I am a goldsmith. And I am here to share my knowledge. So what are we doing today? Fork, claw, prong settings. It seems like such a simple thing. Setting can be so daunting. You could break a stone. Stone could fall out. You don't know what you're doing. It could be skewed. Could be overwhelming if you are only stepping into set work and you always thought about doing something. Why don't you stay tuned, have a look. Step-by-step process. Fork, claw, prong setting. Let's get into it. Make sure that your workpiece is mounted as stable as possible. That's the first step before we even start with the set work. I'm using Thermolock. Thermolock is a plastic-like material. Under heat, you can fold the stuff like putty and form it around your piece, making sure that it's absolutely stable. We want no movement on it when you're pressing on it. So you've got to find a way, whether it's a bench peg, a bench mate, shellac or setter's wax. Do whatever you can to make sure that the product is absolutely secure. Once you've got your item nice and stable, I'm bringing the stone, which is in this case a diamond, and I'm resting it on top of the setting. That's for me to just visually inspect. I need to find out where that girdle needs to sit. After I've estimated where it's going to sit, I'm going to make a little mark there. So you've got 4 lines. If you stay exactly the same height all the way around, you'll find that your stone will sit perfectly level. This is what we're going to try and achieve. You do a little bit more work here to get the result afterwards. So the planning basically. All right, so the next step is to take a lens fraise or a bearing cutting fraise and to cut the grooves for the diamond to be seated in. If I'm going with a smaller, we call it lens fraise, but I think it's called a bearing fraise here. Smaller bearing fraise, which really it's got a pre-cut angle like a diamond. So it really helps to cut a straight line in, and your diamond's already seated at exactly the same angle. I'm going around claw by claw and I'm cutting 1/3 into the thickness of the wire. A little bit here, next one, next one, next one. Check them, keep turning it. Make sure that you're on the same level. A little bit deeper, a little bit deeper. Remember, 1/3 only. 1/3 leaves me 2/3 this side, which means I've got plenty of life left for the earrings for wear and tear. Ring exactly the same. If you cut them too deep, you've got a very loose amount of metal on the top, which is easily lifted if it catches on something. So the main thing to say about this is you've got a lens fraise going at a huge amount of speed, and you've got a wire and it's moving in circles, so it tends to want to grab and run around. You've got to watch out for that. I'm using my fingers to guide and to do little sections at a time. Don't just jump in there. It's not a single cut. It's little sections. And that way as well, you can make sure that all your levels are perfectly the same. Following this, you can take a pair of chain nose pliers, which look like this. They have a little point coming this way and that way, and it's round. It's flat on the inside and round on the outside. We're going to use them upside down, facing your product. And I'm going to go from opposite ends, and I'm going to squeeze these in. But now, you've got an angle like this. Usually I think about 17.5 degrees. So I'm not going from the top and pinching them just like that. I'm leaning against the angle like that and then pulling the opposite one back in. If you're going to be fighting it just on the top, you'll find that the chain nose pliers might slip because you're working with angles that are going to do this, and then by the time it gets here, you're going to slip. So by going slightly against the angle and just using the specific point that touches the other one and nudging it in, and then opposite to that doing the same, you're effectively pulling it down from either ends and not pushing it together. If you go down too far, your stone's going to do that. So a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, keep checking your stone, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Before you know it, they'll be flat down on the stone, and by this time you can swap it around and deal with the opposite ends.
At what point do we stop?
Demaya's asking a good question. When you're pulling this piece of wire over, you'll find that it gets to a point where the stone is hugged. Now, it might just be squeezing it over here by the girdle. You want to bring it right down on top of the diamond itself. You're not going to flatten on the diamond, but by the time it makes contact, you're good to go. If you've got any cavity between the girdle of the stone and the wire itself, it's a weakness. Then you've gone too far. You'll have to go back. Do it again. Sorry. It's got to be right. Don't just accept it. You know? The next step is for me to cut the wires off. Here's the idea. So I like to go flat with the table of the diamond. Flat with the table on the flat side of the cutter. Come in and just pop them off. Just cut them off. That's really just for me to have an equal gauge all the way around. It's just a measure that I use, and that leaves me more than enough wire, but what it does is it equalizes all the wires exactly the same length. And then from there onwards, we can go over to the next step. Now remember, we've got the claws folded over, and we've also got them perfectly flush with the table, but they're still a bit too long. I'm going to bring in a needle file, and wherever they've been folded around, I'm going to bring them down from the top down towards the girdle. I don't need the excess wires to be holding the stone. It's not what we're looking for. We're trying to let the stone shine and minimize the set work just to a practical level. So I'm going to bring the wires, which I've now cut, I'm going to bring them down. And it's quite easy to do this, to judge it, because you can actually look at the edge of the stone, and you can actually look at the table of the stone and find a spot where you bring it down to, so that we've just got the metal holding over the stone, but no excess. During the process of making these, I'm always looking at what I'm doing, and I'm going back and I'm checking and I'm going back, making sure that the product is absolutely perfect. What I'm doing here is I'm taking a little pusher. No, it's just a little, it's actually an old graver that ran its course of its life, and I've cut it straight down and I've created a little groove in the inside, and that little groove sits beautifully over a claw. So I often use these just to kind of really press them down. I'm firmly pressing them down from the top. Previously I just sort of pulled them with a plier. Now I'm firmly pressing it straight down onto the diamond itself, securing that claw right on top of the stone. If you have any lift underneath it whatsoever, you might find, especially with earrings, that hair or something might get in there, entangle and pull the earring out. So we're trying to avoid that. With rings, typically it's jerseys or something where a little fiber can catch it underneath that and pull it straight off, rip the claw off or something like that. So we're trying to avoid these kind of scenarios. Press it straight down onto the diamond with enough force to close the gap completely between the stone and the claw setting itself. So we're really combining the two now. So the next step is using a file to completely refine the shape of the claw as it's been bent down. Remember, we've folded it, we've filed it, so we've actually got a straight edge over here. What we want to do now with that straight edge as it ends is we want to round it nicely. This is going to help with the whole feel when we bring in the cup phrase, so that it creates a nice round ball. I'm using the file to not only round the edges, but I'm also using to flat the top a little bit. I'm kind of pre-shaping the wires so we can take a ball cup phrase. You know what a cup phrase is? Demaya, would you put a cup phrase on the screen right here? That's a cup phrase. So we're using one of these cup phrases to come in afterwards, but we don't need it to do all the work. So I'm prepping the claw tops and the fronts so that the cup phrase really just has to tidy it up and shape it. Take the cup phrase, lubricate it, and bring it right from the top where you've prepared it now, and just gently spin it. Don't go crazy. It's the same as what your bearing cutting or your lens phrase work was. A little bit of a time. Come from the top. If this is the stone, come from the top down this direction and bring it over like that. So you're bringing it from where you've bent the claw, from where it ended, and you bring it over very slowly. And eventually you get to a point where you can round it, and this is where you want to be. Now we're done. We can clean them up. Once you've finished the claws and they look beautifully round and the earrings look exactly the way you want them to do, the stones are perfectly level, we can now remove them out of the thermolock. Now if you're using setter's wax or thermolock, it's all different methods of taking them out. It's basically a reverse situation, like you're taking a car battery on and off. Same, reverse thing. Bad example. This is not a mechanics channel. You heat it up again, and don't try and remove them when you feel that you've got enough grip, because many a times you can break off the back of an earring. This stuff really grips. Make sure that it's completely putty-like before you remove it. And I'm moving to the next level,
which is cleanup.
Cleanup. Yeah, these cool little rubber wheels exist. They're called, again, I don't know, but Demaya will put it up on the screen. Yeah, these things are like, it's a very fine polishing kind of a rubber wheel. I choose a diamond phrase which is about the same size as the wire, and I run this little rubber wheel right up against that to create a little groove. So I sort of mirror the groove inside the rubber wheel, and that works beautifully if you're running it up the top and running it all the way around the side. It hugs it nicely, and it gives it the most beautiful polished clean and crisp clean on top of that. I then use I think the little bullet shaped ones. I'm using a red one in this case because the red one has it has a little bit more of a coarseness to it. So the cup phrases don't always leave the cleanest, sort of shiniest top of it. So I'm coming from the top like I did with the cup phrase, and I'm working it with one of these bullet phrases, which I've created a little ball shape on the inside as well. So I'm sort of creating my own cup phrase, but with a rubber wheel. And then you probably don't see it in this video, but then I end up doing the green one after that. And this is just finishing it off to a polished finish just about. And what makes that great is by the time I put it on the polisher, it just is an absolute breeze. Beautiful finish. Lots of fun all the way through. Thank you very much for watching right to the end. Broad stroke on how to do these kind of set works. There's of course a lot of different methods to go about, but this is a simple way. If you're a goldsmith, you've never done set work before, and you thought, let me try this out, this is a simple way to get the stone in there, nice and secure. Thank you very much for watching. It's always a pleasure to do these videos. Till next time, bye. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.